The Packers go for a wild card win against the 49ers on Sunday at Lambeau Field, and most of us will probably be watching the game on TV.
And if you're like most of us, there'll be a lot of cheering and yelling at the screen, and guess what? That can actually hurt you. It's called Packer Polyps. Yes, there's a name for it. And to tell us more about it is Seth Dailey, Chief of Laryngology. Is that right?
Very good, sir, yes.
At UW School of Medicine and Public Health. Thanks for being with us today.
It's a pleasure.
Let's start with the basics. What are polyps?
So a polyp is an inflammatory lump, more or less, that forms on the surface of the vocal cord when you subject it to a fair amount of what we call phonotrauma or sound trauma. So when they vibrate together, you can shear little blood vessels and they coalesce, they join into this little lump that can make your vocal cords or vocal folds vibrate strangely, irregularly, and gives you a hoarse voice.
It seems kind of silly to say, you know, cheering for the Packers can hurt you, but you actually are terming
Except
them.
for this weekend.
Packer Polyps. Have you seen people who have come in because they've been screaming at the top of their lungs?
I have. We have seen, you know, this is a very sporty state and region, so people who are either fans or participants or parents, everybody's screaming their guts out. And so we see a fair number of people who come in with polyps or other things like polyps on the vocal folds, and they're hoarse and they don't know why, and they don't necessarily connect it with using their voice in a stressful or loud way.
You can always tell on Monday morning who's been yelling at the TV screen.
That's right.
So what do you do?
Sure. So the first thing to do, of course, is to maybe wait a certain period of time, a week, 10 days, because most times these things tend to go away by themselves. On the other hand, if it's more than 2 weeks, if it's more than a month, you need to see a voice team. You need to see an otolaryngologist, an ENT. It's another fancy word. And they can look with cameras. We look with cameras in the office, and we can actually look directly at your vocal folds as they vibrate.
Oh, that's interesting. And if you do have polyps, how are they treated?
Sure. So if you really do have a polyp, oftentimes, if it's tiny, you can either have voice therapy and it resolves.
Oh, really?
If it's a little bigger, we might have to go to the operating room, or a new pathway is we're actually able to treat things in the office with minimally invasive lasers and even injections with someone sitting in a chair just like this.
There's so much advancements in this research right now, isn't there?
It's a huge, huge field. Unfortunately, UW is really at the forefront of it. We're very proud of that.
That's interesting. So if you lose your voice, you give yourself, what did you say, like about a week?
About a week is probably reasonable, but really if it's not coming back, and particularly if you smoke. If you smoke and you're having prolonged hoarseness, that's a safety issue because you could have something growing in there, which is very concerning, obviously. So that's something where you really need to seek help for safety reasons rather than just I'm hoarse and I'm functionally impaired reasons.
One of our engineers said you could also become a Bears fan. So that's not very nice.
No comment, no comment.
We have doctor's permission to yell at the screen this weekend.
Absolutely.
All right, so thanks for being with us today.
It's a pleasure.
Good to see you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.